Welcome back. This week we're going to talk about something that I take it for granted for decades and never once thought about until a friend and fellow shooter on the Facebook Airgun pages, groups, whatever you want to call them, Doc McKay up in Canada, brought it up in a couple of groups about wrapping up in a sling to steady yourself when you're aiming to shoot. I was taught these things by, let's see, my father, who was a CB in the Philippines in World War II, brought back spoils of war that I first learned to shoot rifles on. Another story there. Anyway, and my uncles who were in Korea, and my brother, a Marine, in the late 60s, early 70s, taught me another technique for wrapping up in a sling, which is a bit different than the one they use now. I'm going to show you those with my 160 Pel gun here. Being a variant one from 55, 56, it's rather apropos to have an olive drab sling. Anyway, the one commonly used now is like I think we call it an elbow wrap. It's like this. You stick it through. And, oh, does it make my bicep hurt? I got a cracked muscle in my bicep. I turn a certain way and you stick it through. Well, with the strap on your bicep, just above the elbow. Little Leo swims around back into the hole, and then lift it up like this to steady yourself. Pulling this tight where it wraps around your arm with your bicep against your side to steady yourself to fire. You can see you gotta breathe and everything, and always keep your finger up here above the trigger. That's another thing they teach you in the military until you're ready to fire. So you keep your finger up there so you don't accidentally fire when you're doing everything but getting ready to. So you can see better. It's like this. I can hold really steady that way. Okay, now, that's the modern way. This way, if I remember right, was how my brother taught me. Again, my older brother, a Marine, was at Paris Island, late 60s to early 70s. Anyway, that one was a bit more like this and like that. I need a little more slack on the sling here as you kind of pull yourself into place, which I don't. But anyway, a lot of slack on that one. That one too. Like that. Look at my left hand right there. Around the wrist of your trigger hand. Now, I'm left-handed, so you righties will have to do this the other way around, of course. And wrapped around your forearm hand, wrist. So you're wrapping up the wrist, and you're pulling your wrist apart as you shoulder the weapon to pull it against your shoulder to steady yourself. Again, that you can hold really steady that way, without your elbow resting on something like in this case, the chair. Personally, I used to have a lot more slack in the sling to do that double wrist wrap. I think the elbow wrap around the back of the bicep above the elbow is just, I'm going to call it an elbow wrap, to be simple. is better and quicker because you stick through like that, lift it to your shoulder, and move your arm around to pull the strap tight, pulling down with the sling around the back of your bicep above the elbow. You pull down to adjust the sling as you pull the butt of the rifle up against your shoulder. Breathing. And when you get done, you do like I'm going to do. You breathe in and then exhale. As soon as you get done exhaling, you're steady for that second or two. You should be lined up and ready to shoot. And now I can't do it because I've got rheumatoid arthritis in my hands, and besides, carpal tunnel took over on this one last April. And I can't bend at the first knuckle. I have to bend at the second knuckle to ease that trigger back. Now this one here, you don't have a two-stage trigger. This is a variant 1. It was variant 2 on with the 160, 67, 180, 187, 140, etc. For you got the one-piece trigger assembly that came out where you could adjust it. In newer rifles, you've got a two-stage trigger. You pull it. You got a lot of easy pull till you get back where it starts to feel like it's firming up a little bit before you get to the second stage where you're actually going to fire. That's where you measure. That's the point where you measure trigger pull. By the way, you don't have that on this one. So but needless to say, either way, ease that trigger through that second stage where it's actually gonna fire. You should be, and just squeeze it. But you're wrapping up to hold yourself steady when you don't have something to rest the rifle on, or you're a purist. Either way. Now, I don't know if I can do this, but there's a way they do it in the Olympics. They stand there and put one leg back and throw their hip out. Not a very flattering position for a man. You feel like either a woman or a bow-legged retard, to put it in guy language. Sorry if that offended anybody. No offense meant. That's just my very old expression for it. Now, I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to try. Where you wrap up, tighten the sling up, pull it up to your shoulder. I can't do it, but it's sort of like that. And you throw your hip out, and the way, see how I snugged that up with how I was going like this. I pull it up like that, and you tighten up the sling around that arm behind the elbow, basically. You stand up, throw your hip out, and this elbow rests at the bottom of the rib cage, directly above your hip that's now sticking out, to line the bones up so you can steady yourself when you go to shoot, and you're standing and shooting freehand, okay? But that's how you do it. I can't stand up straight till they fix my L2 vertebra and my right hip, but those of you that can, that's how you do it. If that's not real clear, watch, I don't remember the call letters for it, but that Olympic 10-meter air rifle shooting, firework bows and whatever, but anywho, watch how they stand when they have to lift the gun off that stand to fire. And they're shooting freehand standing. But that's how I do it. Whether they're left or right-handed, you throw out that hip, and they'll have a thing down here, a piece of wood sticking out like that goes up and down on a bolt or something, where they can hold it like that to steady themselves. But I'm basically using the sling to accomplish the same thing against aligning the elbow with the hip when you're standing up to steady yourself to fire. It's not a very flattering position, but it works. And that's the whole point. You want to steady yourself to where you can get a good shot at what you're shooting at, especially when using a high-powered 22 air rifle or a 25 Magnum like the Benjamin back there with that big fat barrel shroud. That shroud's 7/8 of an inch in diameter too, by the way. The pictures I'll show you guys online doesn't do it justice. That thing is like that big around. It's almost an inch in diameter. But that thing, yeah, do the same with that one. Even though it's got that big pad on there, you can still wrap up in it. Actually feels better than this one, which just has a little piece of leather on the back to bear the brunt of the pressure of being slung over your shoulder and all of that. And so that's the two ways I know of to wrap up in a rifle sling, besides having it over your shoulder, grabbing the butt plate when you adjust like this, grabbing the butt plate, you're going to adjust this on your shoulder. And I am basically not, or people like me I should say, are not, I repeat, not slope shouldered. That's where the neck muscles connect to your shoulders. If you're a grunt, you know what I'm talking about. You had to do everything the hard way. That's what grunts do. Even up forward, I was a grunt like everybody else. You get strong shoulder muscles which connect to the neck and everything to do what you do, and these muscles get built up and make an angle like that on your shoulder. That's the sure sign of a grunt. That's not a slope-shouldered, lazy bleepity-bleep. That's bullshit. That's where the neck muscles connect to the shoulders, and you got a strong back because you've been forced to use it. But as I said, that's how it is. Hope you guys found that informative. I know it's something that I've done since the 60s. I just never really thought about it. Even my middle son thought it seemed like common sense to him. And I guess to an extent for anybody that shoots it might be, but to beginners or somebody that's used to bench rest shooting or using the shooting stick or something, I don't know, something like that, then you might not have thought about it or known somebody in the military that had to do that or learn that and all the things that they teach you. And that's a couple of them. So I hope that helps you guys out. The next time you ain't got that shooting stick and you need to steady yourself for a shot, learn those the elbow wrap, as I'm going to call it, or the wrist wraps, and how that Olympic stance, I'm going to call it, where you throw your hip out and the elbow with the elbow wrap lines up at the bottom of your ribs with your hip joint on that side to steady yourself to shoot, and you'll do better. Especially when you're pig hunting, like I was going to say before with the Benji. You want to make that first shot count, because the upper tusk sharpens the bottom tusk, and they know how to use them. A wounded pig could charge you and tear your legs up, as one guy found out at that place in Texas. I forget the name of it, the one that's on YouTube all the time. Got his calf tore up, and you learned in a real hurry why I'm going to be carrying a sharpened machete. Jump out of the way, whack! That pig's going to lose 20 pounds real fast. I ain't above hacking his head off in one quick, sharp blow. I've always good with swords since I was a kid, I don't know why. Or disembowel his ass, let him get tangled up in his own guts. Try to charge me, you're going to pay for it. That's what that sharp machete's for. Right there. Like Johnny Trail, but Jet Day. I think of the name of the place I got that from. It's up on the corner where the old Sears Tool Center was, up on the corner of 301 and 254 to me. Harbor Freight and Salvage, that's it. I got that there for like 18 bucks. Something like that. Shoved it up again. And I'm going to carry that with me, pig hunting. You never know what you're going to need. Well, you're using a break barrel pellet rifle, and you might not have time for that second shot, but by God, you can whip out that machete and hack his ass up. Zip whack. Something else to think about besides cutting brush and stuff. If you got a ground blind, let's say, cutting some tree branches or something to put up around it. So, a little food for thought. Hope that helps you guys, and good Lord willing, the creeks don't rise again for some of you. We'll see you again.